Hi people, how are you all doing? We are back again with another episode on CD Bath, and we hope that all of you are doing great and enjoying the episode series that's going on coming up every weekend for you guys. Today we have a very special guest on board, and he's going to talk about something really interesting which has not been touched upon till date on CD Bath and is a very serious topic as well. We have with us Mr. Talebur. He is a young writer. He's a columnist, a researcher, a development professional, and a very passionate advocate for youth development. He also talks about international relations and politics and various other policies and executions at national level. He's currently an international fellow with Gadjad Mada University. I hope I'm not pronouncing it wrong. If at all it is, please correct me. He is pursuing his masters in Indonesia currently, and he's been working with in various capacities with national and international organizations until now. He is the co-founder of Reimagining Society, an organization where even Ramya Tulasi, if you remember, one of another guests on CD Bath, used to work with, and I had a privilege of working with them for a very short while. He writes a lot of op-eds in top newspapers like New Age, the Dhaka Tribune, etc., for worldwide journals. So I guess that's something that has hyped me up even more to talk to him. There's like a long list of his achievements. I would like to, invite him to talk in brief about what he's currently doing and what all he has done till date, to give us an overview of his background and also to introduce the topic which he's going to talk about today in today's episode, right? So, Mr. Talebur, please, the stage is all yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Lovely, for your kind introduction, and thank you, Pavan, for having me. So I'm actually, first of all, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so much excited to talk about our discussion. But yeah, I guess, love to have covered a lot of things. Actually, I always love to do multiple things at a time because the philosophy of my life is to make every minute count. So I try my best to utilize every minute and every moment in my way, of course, but doing something meaningful that can give me inner peace. So as a result, I have been involved in multiple things since my undergrad. So now I'm in my master's level. So I've already done one master's in communication studies at Indonesia. That's also Diponegoro University. Now I'm doing another master's in international relations at Gadjah Mada University, and I'm also the international fellow there. And I actually love to write, so I become like kind of accidental writer. So at the end of my undergrad, like last year, so one of my like senior was telling me that, Rupam, I mean my nickname. So he was asking me that, would you like to write something? So I said that, okay, I can write, and yeah, I can write. And then I just this is how it started. Right now I've already written like more than 42 articles about as op-ed and also international like journal articles, so academics. So I always try to what I always aim to explore every field, the field I like, and also enlighten myself, and also I always try to enlighten others. So as a result, like that's why our show got big delay for last few days. So Ravi and Pavan were like knocking me every day, but I was kind of involved in another program. So that is Harmonican. So I was the main speaker there. So it was held in 5 different cities in Indonesia. So yeah, I had to travel a lot, and that is on human rights. So this is my kind of mix interested areas. So that's why like I would like to talk about today's discussion about our like South Asia especially, and especially the transition in South Asia, because the world is moving very fast nowadays. And I don't know, like by the time of next week we'll have new things in the world, because it's changing very rapidly. So if something happens in the southern hemisphere, on the probably next week there is something happening in the northern hemisphere. So it's like always continuous changing. So yeah, I would like to talk about the transition in South Asia, because I think this is a very important, not only in terms of South Asian context, but also according to the global perspective. And also, since we are like South Asian, like I'm from Bangladesh, you are from India, and I guess our audience also, many of them are from South Asian countries. So I think it's very important to discuss about the transition, so that we can get a better outcome in the upcoming future, rather than getting worse outcomes. So yeah, and I hope that by the time we'll discuss, and I will also talk about bit more about my works and involvements, because yeah, I have been like, you already saw my CV is already 8 pages, so I'm always try to try to make it smaller. So actually it was 12 pages, so I have to like I tried my best to make it 8 pages. So hopefully we'll talk more by the time we'll have the episode going on.
Okay, I guess that was a great introduction. Pavan, would you like to just start with the questions, because I guess this is a topic that interests you the most, right?
Well, hello viewers, and hi Talebur. It's a pleasure talking to you. And I think since this was something we did not touch upon in our podcast for a long while, I thought this is the right episode to do that. And to the audience, I would just like to say that ever since we had the Ukraine conflict in the last couple of just a few month and a half ago, and prior to that, we had a lot of changes happening in the world with respect to political affairs, economics. You had the UK, US, China trade war, and a lot of things. An India-China conflict, and a lot of these things have repercussions in many ways in many countries. It's not just in India, but worldwide. But in that background, you also have this debate that since 2000, since China's economy started growing, we had this debate coming about where people started asking whether the 21st century would be India's or would be an Asian century. Well, in Indians, India being optimistic says that it's an Indian century. China says it's a Chinese century. So that is something very wide, and we have people have no clue what it can mean, because it can mean domination, it can mean cooperation, a lot of things. So in that context, my first question to you would be, why do you think this such a debate has come about? Is it because of after the fall of Soviet Union in particular, you have this debate coming about? Is it because of economy? Is it because of soft power, or is it because of China's outreach to the world, or is it something else? What do you think? Why do you think this debate came about?
Thank you so much, Pavan, for putting me in a very crucial question. Although I'm not an expert, but I will try to answer it from my capacity. So yeah, like one of the things you already mentioned, that after the end of Soviet era, so before 2000, the before I mean this century, we always think about when the superpower comes, we always talk about that. Okay, it's either Soviet Union or it's United States. I mean the West Bloc. But by the time, like the economy of Asia has like growing super fast. If you see, like we like there are Asian tigers at the same time, like when China was going in early 2000s. But the problem, the advantage of China is like China has a huge population. It's like more than 1.4 billion, and even at that time, the Chinese population uh, was increasingly higher at that time. But then they came up with the birth control, so that's why their population got some number of decreasing. But at that time they had a very big population. And we always talk about, when we talk about economy or international relations or even public policy, that even though in Asia, in South Asia, we have a like a very densely populated country. So we South Asian are very densely populated countries, but also population is a power to grow the economy. Because if you have the resources, but if you don't have the like enough population, it won't be it will be difficult to to grow the economy. And I think China has the benefit of it. And by that time, not only China, like if you look at Japan, South Korea, and also like small countries like Singapore, if like almost like many of the Asian countries are raised by that time. And the dominance of like West, or like particularly United States, are falling down because they also involved in many war. And when there are wars, it even though the opposite country, the population of opposite country are not directly involved, but their money is involved here.
Right.
So when the money is involved, and there is a big in the economy, and they have to support financially to those wars instead of developing their countries. I think that's why, like USA, like in last 20 years, USA, countries like USA are falling behind, like same as United Kingdom. So now United Kingdom is not a superpower anymore. So when we think about the superpower from the West, we always think about that it must be United States. And even though Germany has a very good economy, Europe, I mean the best, but then they never want to involve into war because they have already got the outcome of the negative outcomes from the war. So I think that is also the reason why the Asian countries growth very rapidly, population, and also the wave. Like there is always a wave in every century. So I think it was the West in the past century, I think, but this century it is going to be dominated by like Asia. But the debate could be the which country will debate here, because almost every country is growing rapidly. But yeah, but China is undoubtedly are ahead of many of the Asian countries because of their like several policies. Hopefully, we'll by the time we'll grow the discussion, we'll have those in our lighting.
I think I'll add to this in one aspect. So you mentioned that there would be a gap and there would be certain aspects that are different from West that are present in Southeast Asia and particularly in Asian countries. Let's take it. Another factor, which in my opinion is sort of driving that difference, where you have space for dialogue in place of conflicts and space for even restructuring cultural ties and giving cultural ties more prominence than focusing on the dispute that they have. Asian countries have shown the way forward that war is not the way out. And pretty much, we can see that in multiple examples, be it between Singapore or, even Sri Lanka might be an outlier because it was a civil war, it was not an external war. Civil war was a different case. But Sri Lanka still showed, India and Sri Lanka had a lot of dispute with respect to the bond payments, a lot of things. Even then, they've deliberated and discussed over dialogue, and only then they move forward. So, conflict resolution from Asian countries is something the West and the rest of the world has to look up. Now, on that note, since we have brought up that you've stated that in China has certain advantages and certain growth factors and a lot of other things. What do you think of this pressure between India and China at the moment? Because both are big countries, both are, if you take it in purchasing power parity terms, in the GDP, China might be the first. I think USA might be the first. I'm not wrong. I'm not sure which one, but India is the third. So you have China and India at the top, sort of the top three positions in real terms in economy. That is the biggest, with a very big size. So in this situation, what do you think China and India's ties are like at the moment, and where do you think it might go forward, given the conflict that they're having at the moment in terms of border issues and the Galwan Valley incident and both that? How do you think major powers in Asia can come to a sort of an agreement where conflict is not going to happen so easily?
Yeah, thank you. So here we talk about like when we talk about China in India, it's even more complex because Asia is always more complex than understanding the Western part. So it's easy to understand the even the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, or like Western bloc and Soviet bloc. I mean Russia, but in in Asia it's more complicated because the allies are kind of very much unpredictable if we consider because if we go to Southeast Asia or even Western countries. So they are like it is they have a traditional allying, but when it is South Asia or East Asia, things becomes complicated because here things get changed like every 10 years or every 20 years depending on the political system, because new party comes to the power and they have a, and every party often backed by the Western or maybe Asian bloc. So when it is can you hear me? Okay. When it is block, like the block system came, like if a government is supported by the Western bloc, so they have a tendency, to become closer with the Western bloc because their power actually depends on it. But same with goes with China. But China's like another advantage in a negative way is like they have a like same political party and it's like a authoritative government for a long time, so they don't have that issue when the government like when it 5 years passed. But countries like Bangladesh or India, like Pakistan, so every country has that problem that every 5 years, because here political there is not much political stability, and even though the new government comes, they don't have the same foreign policy or foreign strategy. Because if you go to USA, their strategy is quite same. It doesn't matter whether it's Donald Trump can come to the power or even Joe Biden, but their foreign policy are always remain same. So that's why we always I like give example of the ways like American foreign policy, that they're very much stubborn no matter which government comes. But when it is comes to Asian countries, especially China, India, these countries get changed in like every 5 years or 10 years. And about the dependency, I think it is like indispensable that neither China or India can separate each other, because both country has the highest population in the world. So China is the first, I think, and India is the second. So you cannot just do your trade, grow your economy without each other. And but the problem is the recent the conflict in happening in Ladakh. But I think it's still like there are export and imports going on between India and China, although like they also India government blocked some apps like TikTok and others. But it's still you will find Vivo in the market. So even recently IPL, from IPL, Vivo was revoked from the as a sponsor. So you see, like there are like action reaction, but still there is trade and like economic agreement and execution going on. So I think that is the main point. And also like if we consider this region, like you will see like here in South Asia, every countries are growing, like Bangladesh, like you just name it. So that's why it is also important for the perspective of India to make a friendly relationship with every country, because here everyone has their own interest, and many party involved there. So it's not like Ukraine and Russia, like where there is only like Poland or like Belarus interests are involved. But here it's like more parties are involved, so it's like become like complex, and it is difficult to develop without solving these issues. And that's why I think that and another thing is China don't import their with like arms, but India is like depending other countries for supplying them arms. So when it is talk about defense and also the establishing your power, it is very important to consider the things like where like what is the defense budget, and is your economy is capable to afford those defense budget, and also which countries are you like you get your arms. So when we talk about China and India, so India imports a lot from Russia and United States, but China, many of their arms are manufactured by China, and also they have a very close relationship with Russia. Not like like if I give an example of Modi government. Like Narendra Modi has a very close ally with United States, and but United States may like what I see like over the past 1 year, United States is not giving back the same way Narendra Modi was backing like American government. And unfortunate, like there is an also unfortunate incident for Narendra Modi that he was very close with Donald Trump, but like on the other way, Joe Biden came to the power, so it becomes India's situation way more critical than before. So and that's why like India uh, didn't want to involve themselves into war like with the China and also Pakistan earlier after the Pulwama attack. And also like and we know the situation of Pakistan, so they would be definitely avoid any kind of war or any kind of violent conflict. But I think that is the reason like in South Asia or Eastern Asia, China is dominating. Like China is dominating, and it also helped the other countries. Like when two big countries are having kind of battle in terms of economy, in terms of like border, the countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, they can involve themselves as a bargaining party. So previously it was
Talebur,
always
if I may
yeah.
interrupt, I think we'll come to the Bangladesh question in a moment. Prior to that, I think I'll just lay one point across that I think when it comes to India China, given the conflict and the way China is trying to dominate a lot of nations in Africa and in Asia, but India has taken a similar step in terms of trying to help other nations in their times of crisis and has, in the recent case when they have tried to extend $2 billion credit to Sri Lanka to bail out out of their economic crisis, and that's a good step. I think that's the way forward for India to sort of at least showcase their economic power or financial assistance to countries in distress to gain them over and maintain their friendship, because we are losing a lot of friends in India, and that's a very that tells a lot about the diplomacy problems that are coming from. So moving on, I would like to bring in my co-host to ask a few questions. I think she had one on with respect to Ukraine and other things. So let's
Certainly.
it over to you.
Yeah. Well, the Ukraine thing, I think we'll touch upon it as we go ahead because, like Talebur was talking about the diplomatic policies, the relations, how India is taking a stand. It's very, interesting to know why India does not, like, why India behaves the way it behaves and what is the reason, why does it take certain steps when it comes to international relationships. But before that, since we're talking about the big countries, the superpowers, USA, China, India, it's also very important to focus on the smaller countries like Bangladesh or Bhutan. So what role do they play in the game of these big companies and countries, and what is the their stand or their importance when it comes to international relations is what I want you to touch on.
That's my favorite question actually. Whenever I talk about international relations, so when I get the question comparing the the superpowers, I mean the bigger country comparing to smaller country. So yeah, but the thing is, if I talk about particularly about Bangladesh, so Bangladesh is currently the one of the fastest growing country. So even during the pandemic, we have our GDP rate +5. So where like countries like many European countries were in minus. So so what happened here, like Bangladesh is a very important location geographically, and same with like other South Asian peers. So although in South Asian countries the area is not balanced, so India is like 30 times bigger than Bangladesh, and same with Nepal, Pakistan, and other countries. So, but here the location also important, like which geographical location we are in, and also the economic development inside the country. So, countries in Bangladesh is like growing so fast. That's why we are called as a modern Asian tiger. But that's why like when every party wants to come here, because as long as you have money, like nations will be interested in you. But as long as if you don't have money, like for example, if we give example of Sri Lanka, many countries will lose interest in upcoming years
Right.
because of the money. And So and money depends on either of your industrial support that Bangladesh has, like are in the ready-made garment sector. We are just behind China, so we are the second highest exporter. So a huge like remittance, a huge portion of GDP came from ready-made garment, and that is the highest GDP share in our main economy. So and and on the other hand, there are also other countries like Vietnam and other, but the politics is like not every country is closely either aligned with China or either aligned with the West. So they are kind of in neutral situation. So that's why when we talk about like other countries of South Asia, so here they also want to be, have a good relationship with China, because like we cannot, disregard that. Okay, China is not a superpower, but we have to rely on that, and they have a money, they have a huge money. So like if you know about the debt trap, so why they can exhibit this kind of strategy of like something like debt trap, because they have the money in hand, money in cash, and they don't care about like which country is democratic or which country is not democratic, which country is like semi-democrat, like semi-authoritative. So they don't care about that. So that's why they getting money from them is easier to getting money from IMF or World Bank or the West or European Union. So since they provide the support that countries needs to grow, that's why I think China is getting the advantage of this thing. And they also since that the distance between South Asia and China is not much far. It's like neighboring country like Nepal, Bhutan. They are the neighboring country of China alongside India. So although they have a very little border share, but still, since China has like somehow like China's economy is also depend on the India's economy. So because both are import and exporter of many goods. So I think that that plays an important role, where like China, and also China has a a socialist government, but with capitalistic mindset. So that's why they're more aggressive comparing to like India. And India has a lots of internal issues also. Like one of them could be, I should mention about the hegemony that is being created, like the hegemony of on the base of religion. So that's also matters a lot, because when you do that kind of things, you get like kind of support from other countries, or if it is not from the state, but from the people of that countries. Like if I give example that like if there is like religious instability in India, it will impact eventually like Pakistan, Bangladesh, like Afghanistan, every country. So if minorities minorities like kind of affected in India, the minority of other countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, they will be also, there is a chance of getting affected, and eventually they will lose the power, lose the support, because eventually end of the day, the government needs to answer to their population, even though they are kind of authoritative government. So that's why it is important to get the public support. So because of some internal issues that have India has, so I guess that's a crucial reason that maybe they are losing support from the other countries. So that's why you see that Nepal is a very traditional ally of India, but in last 2 years the relationship between India and Nepal is not up to the mark, and even the like population is not even on the friendly remark.
Right.
Because even though we have a a political part, we have a political like perspective, different perspective, but when we talk about people to people, we think that we are just by brother. So,
I
but the
think
thing is,
Talebur, I think on this end, since we're running out of time, I think Rafi has the last
Uh,
question on exactly this first question.
Yes, yes. I
sure,
mean, I was
of
going to
course.
appreciate Talibur how he's taking the questions very nicely. We're definitely going to do a next part of this session because I have a lot of questions to ask you. But since you were talking about public policy, no, sorry, public diplomacy, so can you like quickly touch on the situation of public diplomacy and those people who don't know what is the importance of it? Why is it important, and where India and South Asian states countries stand in terms of public diplomacy?
Well, first of all, I would like to like to give an 1 minute explanation what is public diplomacy to the audience, because I guess this is kind of in jargon for many of the people. So public diplomacy is government. When we talk about like working with foreign countries, so there is two types of diplomacy. One is hard diplomacy, which is government to government. So people select their representative like the government, and they represent them to the foreign countries, so there is no public involvement are engaged. But when we talk about public diplomacy, it's like person to person, so like a government to foreign people, or even like national people to foreign people. So I think in last 5 year, like South Asia is always lag behind about public diplomacy. Even I have like my research area is also public diplomacy, but I think South Asian countries are not much. Both the government and the population are not much serious about it. They always want to win the win the battle through politically, or either by war. But the thing is, this kind of issues, like this kind of barrier that we have, like between the population of uh, Nepal or India or Pakistan, Bangladesh or Pakistan or India, so this can be reduced by doing public diplomacy. And what is public diplomacy? It can be any kind of events. Even this dialogue is considered as public diplomacy. And also, like I've been to in India in many times because of several conferences, and supported by Indian government, also local government of India, and also other investors of India. So why they do this kind of program? They want to they want to make a bridge among the
Yes.
countries, so that when government cannot reach to the people, people can reach to other government or the other people from other countries. So this is how it works. And I think the initiative on public diplomacy in South Asia is very much limited, and we are kind of ignorant to this topic, because we are always we can take example as cricket. But even you see that in cricket, if we talk about Pakistan, India, public diplomacy does not work much, because there is still clash. So it's like not welcoming and the tolerance. I think there is a lack of tolerance, and also willingness to have this. But if we talk about Southeast Asia, they are very much active in public diplomacy, even though they have a conflict among their countries politically. But they always try to at least involve the public and make a good terms with the foreign public. And I think it is missing in our region, unfortunately. And if we want to develop ourselves, we need to do that, because otherwise, if we increase our differences, it will be just make our our kind of vision more unstable.
And
And
I
I
think
think
on that note,
yeah.
I think since we're running out of time, I think this is the folks. This is not
Thank
the
you for
only
talking.
episode. There's one more
Yes.
episode going to come up after this, so stay tuned for that. And in this episode, I think he's given us a very clear picture of how diplomacy can help, and public diplomacy, that is people to people outreach, apart from through the governments, can help in resolving not only issues but building more ties. So, on that note, I think thanks a lot for joining us for this
Thank
episode.
you.
We'll see you again in the next episode along with Talebur as well. So, yes.
Yeah.